Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this week's video, I thought I'd go through my 10 hot takes when it comes to all things music production, YouTube, and all those other good things. So let's get into it. So number one is you don't need that new piece of gear to create the music you want to. Now, I say this with, as you can see, a full studio worth of gear, but in reality, when it comes to it, I just use a couple of pieces when I'm writing music, just so I'm not getting overwhelmed by ideas and possibilities and everything like that. For the most part, I'm just using those bits, but I have all this equipment for making sample packs. I use all these bits and pieces for different flavors when I'm creating drums and synths and all those other good things. In reality, if I didn't make sample packs, I would probably get rid of maybe half to three quarters of this stuff. A lot of it is overlapping, and yeah, you don't need it to make that music you want to make. You're just kind of holding yourself back. Number two is if you make YouTube videos and the majority of your videos is just showing new equipment, you are most likely a salesman and you're not passing on really good knowledge. There are exceptions to the rule with this, and one of them being Loopop. He makes really good reviews of gear, but he also has his Patreon where he shows synth techniques and everything like that. If he happens to watch this video, I would love you to make some more YouTube videos on different techniques, because the ones that you do have on there are awesome. But for everyone else that just does new equipment reviews, maybe show some technique, because at the end of the day, again, you're just a salesman and you might not have the musical chops to actually show techniques when it comes to music production and engineering. Number three is hardware doesn't make better music. It is really fun to use, and it's fun to get in and be away from a computer, especially if you have a job that's always in front of a computer. Like mine, I'm in front of the computer all day. So having a piece of equipment that I can kind of pull myself away from it and really get invested in it is a lot of fun, but it doesn't create better songs. Those come from the musical ideas, writing, and production. And at the end of the day, people don't care if you've made your music with hardware. They just care if the song is good or it's not good, and that's it. Number four, and this kind of piggybacks, and I kind of mentioned it in the last one, people don't care what you use to make your music. They don't care if you have the biggest and best studio in the world or if you're creating it all on a laptop. They only care if the song resonates with them and it's a good song. That's it. So maybe when you're thinking about gear purchases or what you should be using to make the song, try stripping it back a little bit more and just getting the core idea a lot stronger before you start sort of flip-flopping between pieces of equipment to kind of get it across the line, because all those pieces of a kit should be just adding sort of the cherry to the top, not sort of trying to hold the whole song together. Number five is it's okay to use samples. A lot of people use samples. Even some of the biggest artists out there use samples. I used to be very much against using sample packs and all that, but at the end of the day, no one really cares. If you can find samples and sounds to tell the message that you're trying to convey with your song, go for it. No one really cares, and 99% of people out there are not even going to know that you're using samples. Only other producers are going to know. Number six, and this kind of goes along with the last one, it's okay to use presets. A lot of people use presets, and I spend a lot of time making presets for different products in the hopes that people will use those presets. And a really good example of someone using presets that is a phenomenal artist is Fortet. He uses presets in his music. Does that make him any less of an artist? Hell no. He just knows that when he finds the sound that fits best for his song, he's going to go with it. Whether he makes it, or it comes from one of his sample packs, or a sample pack that he's got, or from a preset from a synth. Number seven, just because your favorite artist uses a piece of equipment It doesn't mean that if you get that said piece of equipment that you're going to sound like them. The sound of that artist comes from, again, from the writing and the production, not from one piece of equipment. There are exceptions to this, obviously with the TB303, that has a very distinct sound, and you can only really get that from that 303 or from some really good emulations out there at the moment. Number 8, you don't have to release music if you don't want to. If you just enjoy the process of writing and producing music, and that music just stays on your hard drive, you might play it for a couple of friends and that's about it, go for it. It doesn't hurt anyone. Don't feel that pressure to release music out to the world if you don't want to. It's just a personal choice. And I see a lot of people feeling like they need to kind of make it by releasing music and getting it heard by more people. But at the end of the day, I've seen people with huge modular systems that just enjoy making music on the modular, and at the end of it, they turn it off and that's it. And they're the only person that is going to hear that piece of music, and I think that's awesome. Number 9, if a piece of equipment is your identity, you might be limiting yourself. And what I mean by this is, I see people who will say, I wrote a whole piece of music on this piece of equipment, and this is my everything. I do everything on this. It's really cool that you did that, but if you are looking to sort of expand yourself as an artist, maybe look at kind of using that as a stepping stone and then growing, maybe using some other pieces or pulling it into the computer and doing more with that piece of music. I see a lot of people, they will have like a tracker and they've walked down the same path with that tracker 10 times over, producing music that is very similar to itself. But if you're doing that over and over again, are you really growing, or are you kind of just walking that path over and over? So don't let a piece of equipment limit you. Even if it's something like a modular, you think that's everything. If you're kind of walking the same path each time, maybe try switching it up and don't let that piece of equipment become your identity. And lastly, number 10. Now, I know this is a little bit cliche, but try and make the music that you want to make, not the music that everyone else is making. I mean, if the music you want to make is what everyone else is making, go for it. But if you like 10 or 20 artists, maybe try and make music that they are, and then pull ideas from that to kind of grow your own sort of sound. Now, this can be easier said than done, but I think that there comes a real value from growing your own style and kind of doing something a little bit different. If you look on places like Beatport, you go to any of the genres, and a lot of the sounds and a lot of the songs sound the same. And it's a little bit disappointing, but I find that it's real value when someone kind of steps to the left or right of center and they can produce something that sounds really, really good and really fresh. So that's about it from me this week. Just wanted to do a quick top 10 hot takes. I know that I have fallen into the trap of many, many of these, but hopefully all of you have had a very productive year creative-wise, or you may be setting it to the goal, one of your main goals for next year, to be a little bit more creative and find a little bit more time for yourself to create the music you want to. Make sure you don't spend too much time on YouTube watching videos of people like me just going on and on. But again, really take that time to grow yourself as an artist. And whether you want to release music or not, hopefully the next year is going to be very productive for you. Until next time, see you later.